I'm joined by Aatish Taseer, who's been watching what's been happening on Twitter with amusement, no doubt. So, Aatish, over here in India, we're deeply upset, many of us, at what's been happening. We are shocked. We believe there's some sort of an international conspiracy against our country. Our nation might suffer very greatly as a result of what Greta and Rihanna have to say. And how can you possibly disagree?
I mean, it's incredible, Vishnu. It's so clever of George Soros to wheel out Rihanna to sort of the international system trying to take down the Modi government using Rihanna. It's so, who would have thought the world was as shadowy as that?
But let's look at it from another perspective, and let me be less facetious. Now, Rihanna has 101 million followers on Twitter. She commands an audience. And this government feels, and this is the External Affairs Ministry statement, there are vested groups, right, which have tried to mobilize international support against India. That's why everyone here is reacting. How would you respond to that?
It's not vested groups. You have a situation that's been handled very badly, where it looks like the Indian government is at war with its own people. Delhi has been fortified against Indian farmers in a way that, the Chinese border hasn't been fortified against the PLA. And you have this situation that's obviously like imploding before everyone's eyes. And Rihanna, as probably like an internationally concerned celebrity, feels the need to weigh in. Like there's no conspiracy. It's just a testament to how badly this has been handled. And it's right from the beginning, the demonizing of the protests, of turning these people into Khalistanis, of not negotiating with them. And it's become much more than this government bill or the reforms or anything. It's become a question of trust. People in India don't trust the government, and that's spilling out into ways that the government can't control. And so what does it do? It sort of wheels out its heavy artillery. Poor Sachin Tendulkar and Karan Johar and the Devgans are brought out to sort of counter the force of Rihanna.
But Aatish, let me ask you this.
Sure.
What if the heavy guns who you've referred to feel, and I think they genuinely feel, affronted by what is happening? For example, Tendulkar says, India's sovereignty cannot be compromised. Akshay says, farmers are an important part of our country, efforts being undertaken to resolve. Let's support an amicable resolution rather than paying attention to anyone creating differences. Amit Shah says, no, just half a sec, no propaganda can deter India's unity. So if people feel that our unity is being affected, they feel that our national pride is being hit, I'm just asking, is there necessarily anything wrong with that?
These may be actual, genuine stooges of the government, but I've been in situations where people like Karan Johar have received that call from the government, basically frog marching them out to kind of counter this sort of thing. So it's totally disingenuous. This is like a terrified government responding in a hand-fisted way and putting pressure on celebrities because Rihanna tweeted. Firstly, you have the ridiculous spectacle of the MEA responding to Rihanna. But after that, they were like, oh, some smart person in the MEA must have thought, now we'll get our own celebrities to take them on. And I wish that they hadn't done it, but I've also witnessed the kind of pressure that this government is willing to put on people to give it a certain sort of soft power. So no, I don't even believe your premise. I don't think these people are genuinely affronted.
That's your view. That's your view, Aatish. But I think I would suggest that many others would say that Sachin Tendulkar isn't a stooge of the government, or some of these other people aren't necessarily stooges of the government at all, and that they actually believe this. But my next question is this. Should India, as a government, have reacted to Rihanna and the others in the first place?
No, of course not. Of course not. She's a pop star. She has a certain appeal. Like a government that sort of seems as scared of its shadow as that, like not only what it conveys, it's trying to convey strength, it's trying to convey confidence, but actually it ends up conveying the total opposite. And actually it would probably bring a lot more attention to the problem. And the thing has to be dealt with on the ground with your own people. You can't suddenly sort of marshal the interests of the Indian government towards dealing with Rihanna. Rihanna is not your problem. The problem is the people of India who are coming in their tens and thousands to object or to protest to legislation that you've passed, and you haven't been able to talk to them, nor have you been able to instill any kind of confidence in them that these reforms are in their benefit.
Aatish, final question to you. Would you say that this is an extension of the battleground that Twitter has become for so many in this country, where you fight it out on Twitter with the worst language, with, taking on people, because that's what Twitter has become. You take on people. You disagree, you take on. You don't debate, you don't explain, you just take on, you confront. And therefore, this is an extension of that.
The toxicity of Twitter is known to all, but this is not a battle happening within the confines of Twitter. Twitter here is, in fact, a sideshow. The main show are the farmers of India who have expressed a monumental distrust in this government. And now you see, Vishnu, the channels of protest are open. The fear that used to exist in 2019 is gone. And people are coming out, and the government is finding itself convulsed because it's had basically 2.5 years of non-stop protest, and it doesn't know how to deal with it. So we're talking about an almost discredited government that is kind of lashing out as imaginary enemy when it's not dealing with the problem that's right in front of it.
All right, Aatish, thanks very much for being with us. I personally tend to agree that people anywhere in the world have a right to express their concerns, and I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But I do also believe that people over here have been offended by some of the comments. But thanks so much for sharing your views on this.